Texas. I personally think Texas needs to lean even more into the proven player market, because if they're forceful and they're taking full advantage of what they have at their disposal, I think you're talking about, especially when you're a team that's on the rise or trying to be on the rise, it's the quickest way to get better immediately. We saw Michigan State do it a year ago. We saw Baylor really take advantage of this a year ago as well, even if they did so pretty quietly. I think that it's just a matter of Texas fully embracing, like you said, who they are and what they can be. If anybody should be upset about this, Anwar, it should be Ohio State. It should be Alabama. It should be Georgia. It should be those who've been winning with the way the rules have been. And now the only thing that really threatens them are the rule changes that potentially open the door for others to come inside.
Yes.
As it's currently been, Texas hasn't been involved in anything relevant nationally in such a long time. If I'm a Texas fan, I'm with both arms and legs embracing a change that potentially shakes things up in a way where the Cool Kids Club includes more than just a couple of schools. And real quickly to that point, USC falls into this category. They haven't really been relevant nationally in over a decade. That Addison is in the portal and isn't looking at the traditional schools that have been playing in the playoffs for the last 4 or 5 years, even longer than that, speaks to, I think, how this is an opportunity for those who are haves but haven't truly been haves in a while to be haves again. And, you know, if you're Texas, that's where you want to be.
Catch. Okay, how about this? Maybe you can expand on this from a recruiting standpoint. A&M. You know, you talk about the quote-unquote have-nots. A&M finishes with a #1 recruiting class, and a lot of that is clearly because of NIL, and maybe that was some of the wake-up call that Texas needed. But speak to that. I mean, that doesn't normally happen, right? But now in the age of NIL, all of a sudden, if you're Bama in Georgia, you wake up and you're like, what the hell just happened here?
Well, Texas A&M, the perception has been that they've been leaning into a different kind of pay for play kind of. It's not quite NIL the way Texas is doing NIL, because it's money for high school kids before they're in college. Mm-hmm. And you haven't seen A&M active in the portal. They haven't really been pulling transfers. They haven't really been landing the likes of a Quinn Ewers or an Isaiah Nayor, but their program is loaded. And look, there are a lot of people that would tell you that the ways that they've been building their program fall outside of the category of the way college football 50, 60 years ago was intended to be made. By any means necessary. There's nobody that's going to stop Texas A&M, period. The NCAA is not going to do anything. So if you're Texas or you're some of these other schools, you've got to do what you got to do. You've got to figure out what your pathway is. The one for Texas is so apparent that I'm trying to convey to Texas fans who are pushing against it, go with the flow here. The current is with you. And you better pick a stream, because if you just sit on the side and keep romanticizing about, well, I liked it better when players weren't getting paid and it was all about the love of the school. And what world do you live in? Do you really think that's what Alabama's doing? They just got a bunch of guys that are in it for the love. That Ohio State is, all those kids at Ohio State are just in it because on Saturdays they love to see the I get dotted with the band. That's the thing. No, man, these guys are about trying to maximize their ability and their money-making potential, and they have been forever. The SEC didn't become the dominant conference in America because the kids that go to that conference didn't like money, didn't like best pathway to the NFL. They just think that the helmets are cooler and the education is better and the fans are nicer. I mean, it's just weird that to be so naive on purpose, to launch yourself down the rabbit hole of the sanctity and purity of college athletics, as if there has been purity and sanctity in college athletics since any of us have been alive.
Never. I mean, we're what year was Pony Express, Catch?
That was like early 80s, late 70s. Darrell Royal got out of college football coaching because he perceived the way that Oklahoma and others were recruiting in the mid-70s was just something he couldn't do. The purity was out of the sport before I was born.